What up, ballers? Welcome to Basketball at the Bar. Join us live for the best NBA podcast here on YouTube, where the takes are hot and the drinks are cold. There's no dress code, and you can take us wherever you go. So pull up a stool, drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe. This is Basketball at the Bar. Grab your drinks, and let's go. What is up, Calvin? How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well, Barry. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's Wednesday. It's officially the Ethereum merge. We're, I think, 2 hours away from the merge, so that's pretty exciting. And we got some basketball news to talk about today as well. Shout out to everybody here in the chat. And yes, we are starting a little bit early today. We got some fun things to talk about. We're going to talk about the Suns owner. We're going to talk about a failed Kings-Suns trade. We're going to touch on Russell Westbrook again here. We're going to talk a little Euro basketball, Dennis Schroeder, and then we're going to end it with some stuff about Steph Curry and questions as always. So, Calvin, you ready to jump in here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. This craft light is delicious. All right, Calvin, I'm gonna let you take the stage on this one. I know you made a video a little bit earlier today. If you guys have not seen it already, go ahead and check it out. But Calvin, can you kind of summarize this whole situation here, because it's not good, dude. It's not good at all.
No, it's not good. And LeBron had a pretty serious tweet about it earlier today also. So people are definitely not happy about it. In case anybody is unfamiliar, Robert Sarver's been under investigation by the NBA for almost a year now, since November of 2021. It's stemming from an ESPN article that accused Sarver of racist and misogynistic behavior in the workplace. And the findings were not good, but it's not enough to immediately say people have people say we need him out, right? That's the thing right now. So he was suspended for a year from the facility and fined $10 million on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, when you first started hearing about this story, because like you said, it's been going on for a while now, you were hearing just kind of random things. But honestly, I didn't know a lot about the Suns owner, right? I had heard that he was cheap and he didn't like to pay players and stuff like that and trying to cut budgets. But I had no idea about any of this stuff. And, you know, when it first starts coming out, you're kind of like, okay, you're reading the stories. And I think in this article, they kind of break down what he was in trouble for. But basically, it's you know, saying the N-word that apparently he was repeating that other people were saying, and then he was getting mad that they were allowed to say the N-word, and I mean players, but he was not allowed to, and then it kind of gets into this weird like stuff about you know, he was getting a physical and dropped his pants and his underwear, which is weird because I feel like that's part of a physical, but it's like, why? I don't know, dude. It's just so weird. But the more and more you hear about it, you're just like, this guy is a complete weirdo, dude. Exactly. Complete weirdo.
Yeah, there's another story about him dancing at a company function pelvis to pelvis with another man. Like, the stories are really bizarre, and it makes you uncomfortable just reading it, right? Let alone being in the room or being that person, probably. So very interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, the Clippers were threatening to boycott games back when Donald Sterling was being exiled from
Chris Paul,
the Clippers.
This is twice for him.
I know, right? It's Chris Paul again. At least
during
they have
two
somebody
playoff
who's
runs
familiar
too, right?
with the situation. Yeah. Maybe people will look to him for answers, I guess, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy, because when I'm reading a lot of these things, I'm just kind of like, okay, this guy just sounds like a complete weirdo to me. Now, it's not illegal to be weird, but it does make people feel uncomfortable. And if you're going to be in like a position of power like this, you have to make people feel, you know, inclusive, make them feel welcome, stuff like that. You have to, like, you know, create a great workplace environment. Which is weird that we're just finally hearing about this stuff now, because if the dude's been running a team for 17 years and he was this kind of weird guy, like, this is not something that just popped up in the last year or 2 years. So kind of weird that we're not hearing about it until, this far down the road. But he's suspended for a year, which, I think it's BS personally. But at the same time, and this is kind of a total weird way to look at it, his suspension is longer than Deshaun Watson. And he did nothing. Wow. I mean, other than what you're talking about with the dancing. I don't think he's really like hurt people physically, but mentally and other stuff. So I don't know. It's a weird situation. I'm not saying any of these situations are right or they handled them right, because I think both situations are being handled completely wrong. But he's banned basically from all NBA, WNBA activities, everything for an entire year. In my opinion, that should be the minimum punishment for him. Like, is him being banned from this stuff forever. Like, if you want to continue to own the team, and that's even a slippery slope too, forcing people to own, sell teams and stuff like that. But he should have nothing to do with the NBA, the WNBA, any of these teams for the rest of his life, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with you. I mean, you can't create a work environment like that for a lot of people. It's just not right. So I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be very interesting to see as the season gets closer. I'm sure it's going to become a bigger story. People will ask the players, Chris Paul, for answers, and we'll see what they have to say.
I also saw some interesting points later in the article that someone was complaining about him yelling at and berating employees. And it was just kind of like, are you guys just like trying to throw in more stuff here? Because I thought like the racism and the sexual harassment was enough. If you're putting this in your article, obviously you've never had a job, because I feel like that's normal at a job is you get cussed at and berated. Maybe I haven't had a lot of good bosses or managers, but seems like par for the course, at least in that aspect.
Definitely normal in restaurants. We'll say that. Yeah.
What do you think ultimately happens in this situation, Cal?
Gosh, I don't know. It's really hard to tell. I do think that, we've seen there's a lot of evidence, recent history of players taking a stand for particular matters, really over the last 3-4 years. So I expect the players to make some sort of stance against it.
You think he's selling the team? He's out?
It's hard to tell.
Seems like the most likely outcome, right?
Yeah. I hope that's the outcome, but
yeah. And I just, not that this really matters at all, but it does. I mean, it's not like he was going around, and I'm not trying to defend him, but I'm just saying, from what I got from this situation, it's not like he was going around and calling people N-words and putting them down and stuff like that, even though it's not okay what he did. I think it's much different being that versus saying it and making people feel uncomfortable when they tell you to stop and you say it again. Like, it's bad. It is bad, but it's not like he's going around yelling at people, calling them derogatory terms. I don't know. It shouldn't matter, but
maybe it doesn't really.
All right. So let's move on here. I found this article yesterday. I was reading it.
Lighten the mood a little bit.
Yeah. It was after Royal Rebounds last night, and I could not find the article again today, so I'm not going to display it here, but we can talk about it a little bit. And it was basically the failed Kings-Suns trade for Harrison Barnes to the Phoenix Suns. This apparently was almost a done deal that could have happened, but the Suns were waiting on Kevin Durant to see what happens with him. As soon as Kevin Durant became unavailable, the Kings raised their asking price on Harrison Barnes. And James Jones and the Phoenix Suns quickly rebuffed that offer. I didn't find out what the exact offer was, but Calvin, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think it would take for the Suns to acquire a guy like Harrison Barnes? And do you think this thing is over, or we might see something come of this?
Well, it's hard for me to. I didn't see this trade that you saw, so it's hard for me to really make a solid judgment on it, not knowing what the offer was in return from Phoenix. But I don't know. I think it would probably take somebody like Cam Johnson. That would be one of the players that Monty McNair would want in return. Maybe another player when he asks or ups the asking price. Do I think we're going to hear more about this? Probably not, at least for a while. I would guess you'd have to get more towards the trade deadline before you start to hear of teams wanting to trade for Harrison Barnes again.
What do you think about a trade like this? Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense for both teams?
I
You
mean,
like this for Phoenix?
I don't know if I like it for Phoenix because you're losing. All three of these players provide very similar things to the game: outside shooting, slashing, rebounding, defense. They're all kind of like secondary players, wing players. So if you're giving up two and only getting one in return, that kind of hurts if you're Phoenix.
You like it better with Saric included if you're Phoenix? Because Cam Johnson's, I think, has got higher upside.
I do like that a lot better for Phoenix, yes.
Okay.
Keeping Cam Johnson and getting Harrison Barnes is pretty good, I think.
Do you see any reason for Sacramento to do a deal like this or no? Because they're basically trading an expiring guy for two more expiring guys.
It wouldn't make a lot of sense right before training camp's going to start, right? I think you want to get this group of people in the building and see what it looks like, start the season and go from there. Yeah, good point. Well, if I find that article, I'll definitely post it down below in the comments so you guys can check it out. Moving on here, let's talk about Russell Westbrook because we haven't talked about him enough this offseason. This is according to the LA Times. Lakers star Russell Westbrook lists his LA mansion for $30 million. Wow. This definitely doesn't look like a $30 million house to me, but I guess that's LA, right? Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? Is he just taking advantage of a high real estate market right now, or is he on his way out of town, Calvin? What does this mean?
I can't make any of this. There are lots of reasons to sell a house. As you mentioned, the market right now getting a high return value, something like that, taxes, anything. I could be a million reasons, right? Maybe he's being moved. I will say this. I think the Lakers want to move him, but it's hard to move somebody who's worth or who is going to cost you $44 million. And
47.
You and I were talking about this, I think, just yesterday, $47 million. You were saying, what if he comes off the bench? That's such an amazing amount of money to pay somebody coming off your bench. So it seems unlikely they're going to find a trade partner unless Utah is willing to put together a dump deal where they give away a bunch of players. Yeah,
very true. Well, I think this absolutely means he's getting traded. I'm just going to take it a step further. I think that him and the Lakers have already discussed it. I think they've both decided to kind of move on in their own different ways, but they haven't figured out a way to make that happen yet. So I believe Russell Westbrook knows the Lakers want to trade him. I think the Lakers want to trade him, and this is just preparation for him.
Can I tell you what my dream destination would be for him? And it's not a real one because in order for this to actually work out in this team's favor, they would have to trade like their entire roster to get him. But let's say he gets bought out by the Lakers and he's able to sign with anybody. What about Memphis? Can you think of a better or like a place that he would be allowed to be more free? Well, even him coming off the bench like that. Imagine if that was your 1-2 punch at point guard. You have to convince them to do it, but like they could be really good. They could be really good.
I don't know if any contender wants him, honestly. I don't. I mean, I like the idea of Miami because he likes to work hard, and Miami I think would be good for him. But honestly, the dude has no shot, man. He has no shot. He makes a ton of money.
Yeah, but
he's got
that's
an
what
attitude.
I'm saying. Like Memphis, the way their team is built, Ja just attacks the basket and then he kicks it out to these guys for three, right? You could just have Westbrook do the same thing. Just say, we're going to clear the lane for you. Play as fast, as hard as you can. You're only going to play. He's not a great shooter yet. I mean, he can make shots. He's shooting better than Westbrook, yes, but I'm just saying, if you could convince him, I think that's part of the reason why no contender wants him, right? Because they're worried about getting him to buy in to whatever role they need him to be really good. So,
yeah, that's a great point.
But if he would do that, I think Memphis could be potentially a really, really scary team.
Yeah, that is a good possibility, and I don't think the Lakers buy him out, but maybe the Jazz or one of these other teams if he ends up getting traded. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him back in Houston. That seems to be where everyone ends up eventually, and Houston just wants to collect more first-round draft picks for the future. My question for you, Calvin, is how big do you think the closet is in this house in the master? Because we know Westbrook loves his style and his apparel. But I also read an article years ago saying that he only wears everything once and he donates the clothes afterwards. So big closet, small closet, what are you thinking here? How many square footage?
Oh, it's got to be huge, even if he only wears it once. I'm sure he's got a very large closet. He might even have more than one large closets.
Maybe he's got a closet of like things that haven't been worn and then a closet of things that have been worn. Why not, dude? You're making $47 million. Put $1 million into the closet. Why not? All right, let's go ahead and move on here to Euro basketball. Calvin, you're going to have to take the lead on this one because I'm not going to lie. I've watched highlights, but that is it, dude. I'm just not a huge Euro basketball fan, but you can see the semifinal four there. You got Poland and France, Germany and Spain. What are you looking for here?
Well, first of all, the tournament is really starting to heat up. If you are like fiending for some basketball, this has been really, really good basketball. The quarterfinals were pretty awesome. Obviously, big upset here, Poland over Slovenia. Luka, there was a little controversy with him after the game. Reporters were asking him about if his back was sore and if he was 100%, and he said he really wasn't. But he was also pretty emotional. He said he let his country down, and so it's getting pretty intense. And then in the other quarterfinal match, Germany upset Greece. Giannis going down. Giannis actually got ejected in that game.
I saw that.
So there's a couple of surprise teams in the semifinals. It should be pretty entertaining. Friday, I think, are the semifinal games.
Yeah, Friday, 5:15 a.m. for us. This is 8:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for you guys on the West Coast. Poland, France, and then Germany and Spain, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Calvin, you got a favorite here? Anybody you're rooting for that's left in this Final Four?
Well, I think the favorite has to be France right now. They're coming off a pretty good Olympic run. They're in the semifinals. They got Poland, who's a surprise team in there. But I would also say keep your eye on Germany. Franz Wagner has played really, really well. Dennis Schroeder has also had some really good games. They seem like a pretty dangerous team right now as well.
Yeah. You want to pick who you think will win it all? You going with France?
I'm gonna go France over Germany in the finals.
Okay. Interesting. Well, speaking of Euro basketball in France, there's a stud, dude. Ex-Laker, Dennis Schroeder, absolutely killing it for France in the Euro League, which is creating some buzz in the NBA after falling out of rotation last year with the Celtics. I think he ended up getting traded, and the Celtics went on that huge run to make it all the way to the NBA Finals. Any thoughts on Dennis Schroeder, what he could bring to a team? I never remember if it's Schroeder. I've heard so many different ways to pronounce it.
Yeah.
But thoughts on Dennis?
I like Dennis a lot. I'm kind of confused as to why. I know he's not the most solid defender there is, but he's a really solid player. Like, he's got a lot of talent. He's incredibly quick. You would think that the way NBA teams are like the contending teams are being built right now, they're 10, 11 deep. So you would think one of those teams would want him, right? Like or even another team. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's going to take an early season injury or something, or if they run all the way to the championship of the Euro basket tournament, then perhaps someone will reach out to him. But
any favorites you think? Any team you think could use them? What about the Lakers? Do they welcome him back with open arms, or that ship sailed already?
Yeah, I guess I could see the Lakers going for him. Like, I think he would help a lot of teams. But I guess it kind of also depends on what your role or your plan for him is, right? I don't know if a lot of teams see him as a starter anymore, which is maybe why he's still left on the table. But I'm not sure. Maybe a team like Minnesota. They lost Patrick Beverly. They could use a backup for D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, interesting move there.
I
don't
have to
know
think more about it, but
if I can think of a favorite that can land him. But interesting. It's crazy that some of these guys are still available.
Probably going to
right?
be a team that still has like their mid-level exception available.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see them signing him to a pretty big deal. Anybody?
I think he's got a good shot at maybe 6th man of the year. If he can play the whole season, come off the bench for one of these contending teams. All right, let's move on here. In other news,
he has looked very good.
Steph Curry to ink a lifetime contract with Under Armour worth $1 billion. $1 billion. He is now the second athlete to sign a lifetime $1 billion deal after LeBron James did it in late 2016. Well, Calvin, he's officially with Under Armour. Does he have to wear the shoes for life, or he's got to get an Under Armour tattoo on his forehead, or what is this? What are they paying $1 billion for?
Oh, they're paying $1 billion just to have his name pretty much attached to their company, right? Like, I think he will still wear the shoes. I think he likes wearing the shoes. Congratulations to him. Him and LeBron are, linked again on another thing, right? Like, they really have become the Bird and Magic of this generation, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really wild, the money that they're just throwing at these athletes. I was talking to Pat yesterday. We were talking about Tom Brady and how he's got this like $250 million deal to do sports broadcasting, and he's not even retired yet.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
The rich get richer, man. It's unfortunate. That's how our capitalistic system works.
Yes,
and
they do.
The increase in technology and social media gives people that are famous or popular even bigger platforms to monetize, and it's wild, man. It's really, really crazy the way the technology is moving.
It is. I will say about all three of these guys, I mean, especially Brady and LeBron, I don't think there's ever been a player in either one of their sports that has performed as good as they have for as long as they have, right? So and Steph is now getting older and still performing at a very, very high level. So if you're gonna pay anybody these amazing amounts of money, you definitely want the people that withstand the test of time, and that is this list right here.
Definitely. All right, before we jump here into questions, I want to talk on one more thing, but if you do have questions, go ahead and drop them here in the chat. We'll go over any questions you guys have, and then we will wrap up the show. But before we get into that, I want to touch on some key dates for the 2022-2023 NBA season that are approaching pretty rapidly. Basically, the Hall of Fame met over the 9th and the 10th, last weekend. Then you have the 23rd is when players can start participating in preseason games outside of North America. Training camps open for all teams outside North America on September 24th. I believe training camp opens, on September 27th. And then NBA preseason begins September 30th. So we got a busy couple weeks here.
Quick.
The NBA will be firing up momentarily, and Calvin and I will have a ton more things to talk about.
Yep. Won't be long.
What are
Won't be
you most
long now at
excited
all.
for this season, Calvin?
Oh man, I think to see all of there were so many players, really, really good players, all stars, that were out for pretty much the whole year last year. So, and unless I'm mistaken, I think the majority of them are going to be ready to go for opening night. So I think I'm most excited to see all those guys and like the full healthy league again.
Who do you think's going to be better? A healthy Clippers team or a healthy Memphis Grizzlies team?
I'm going to give the slight edge to the Clippers, I think. I think they're probably the deepest team in the league, even though the Grizzlies are also deep. They did lose Kyle Anderson, but I think slight edge and experience getting Kawhi Leonard back, 2-time Finals MVP. So I would go Clippers on that one.
Yeah, I think John Wall is going to have a huge breakout season. He, right now, I think is one of my favorites, if not my favorite, for comeback player of the year. I think he's going to have an exceptional year if he can stay healthy. And that kind of goes with that whole Clippers team, right? If they can stay healthy, I agree with you. They're one of the most talented teams. I love all the 3-and-D guys they brought in. They brought a speedster in John Wall. They're getting back one of the best players in the league in Kawhi Leonard. That right there is like a free agent acquisition. And then Paul George coming back, probably had a couple more shoulder surgeries, this offseason like always. But he should be back healthy, and yeah, they're going to be rocking it this year for sure.
Yeah.
All right, first question of the night from Alfie Man: are the Kings traveling to India again? I do not think so, Alfie Man. Calvin, any thoughts on that?
So.
I think they were traveling.
I haven't heard for sure, but I definitely don't think I've heard they're going. So.
Yeah, I think they were doing some traveling during the off season, but I don't believe they're going to India this year, and they're not playing in any of the Japan games in October or the end of September. So we're just waiting for Sabonis to get home, and Fox is already in the gym working out. He's on his honeymoon working out. He's ready to go. Let's get in the gym. Let's get some W's. Let's get some W's.
Yep.
All right, Brian says, have you guys been to the telescope in Hawaii? If so, what's it like? Brian, I believe you're referring to, there's a couple different telescopes on the Big Island, on the volcano. There's also a telescope on our island, on Haleakala, on the volcano. I have not been to any of the telescopes. Unfortunately, I've seen really, really amazing photos. But no, I have not. Calvin, what about you?
I have not been to the one on Big Island, and I have been to the one here on Maui in Haleakala. It's really cool. Really, really cool. I would definitely recommend it. The Big Island telescope is even more powerful, though. I think it's actually, I might be wrong, but I think it's the most powerful telescope on Earth.
Yeah, there's a couple of them on Mauna Kea. And then they've been discussing building that 30-meter telescope that will allow you to see, things that have never been seen before. And the Big Island of Hawaii is an ideal place because of the lack of light pollution. But it's not a very popular subject among a lot of the local community. So it's
yes.
It's
just
kind
building
of
the most recent one was quite an ordeal.
Yes. We're kind of at a standstill right now. But yeah, Brian, you should definitely come check it out if you're ever here. Definitely a lot of fun. It's cold up there, though. It snows, and I am not good with the cold. Not good with the cold at all. All right, guys, I think that's pretty much it for today's show. Calvin, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about or discuss before we head out? Kind of a quick show today, but we're in that slow season right now in the NBA. We're gearing up. We're getting ready. Making sure everything here works in the studio. I just added a cool new button today. So yeah. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, good little mic drop there with the confetti, and thanks for watching. We'll be back
guys.
next week.
Thank you so much for watching. If you had a good time, smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back next Wednesday live, and we're also putting out fresh videos every single day, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Hit that notification bell and you'll get notified every time we put out a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to tip your bartender.